I'm Kara Ray, founder of Ambitious Moms Balancing Business and Babies. I'm a mother, a stepmother to 3 beautiful children. I'm a wife and a proud entrepreneur. I'm a mindset coach specifically for mothers who desire to strip the mom guilt and own their ambition in business and family life. The Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast is for the ambitious women and mothers who are ready to rise together and empower one another. Get plugged in each week for unfiltered and uncensored conversations between myself and industry leaders who support you, have unwavering points of view, and empower women to believe in themselves. We will be discussing business, spirituality, energy, strong points of view, manifestation, and what I like to call breaking the stigma topics. Conversations that will no longer be silenced. This is a safe place to reclaim your power of being a woman. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast. Today we'll be diving into some juicy info in regards to personal development and why this topic is so incredibly important. But before we do, I would love to introduce a friend of mine, Kiki Yura. She is a mindset coach that helps spiritually curious babes in the 9-to-5 rut raise their vibrations, reclaim their power, and step into a stress-free life. So welcome, Kiki, to the podcast.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. I am so happy that we are getting to do this, especially after our conversation the other day. It's just I have a good feeling that we are going to go much longer than we anticipate.
Yes, probably, because, 2 hours later the other day.
And it felt like nothing. That's the funny thing.
100%. I am just super grateful to share this space with you. I'm so honored to have you on here, and I can't wait to have this conversation because self-care and self-development are, something the both of us are extremely passionate about. And so really diving in more on the self-development piece with you is, I'm personally excited for it. And I know that the listeners will be too, because
yes.
I think there's just people sometimes think that self-development is a lot harder than it needs to be. And it is so unique for everyone. And so, before we dive into this,
yes,
my husband thought I was going to be such a dick for asking this. See, this is why it's uncensored.
Tell me. We're getting juicy right off the bat. I like it.
No, I'm just being cheeky. That's all I'm doing. So I was going to be like, Kiki, I have a question for you. Do you love me?
Yeah. Girl, I cannot tell you. I was just traveling this summer in Israel. I went to 4 different countries. I went to Israel, Greece, Cyprus, and Jordan. And there I was hanging out. I had the opportunity to go on a free trip to Israel, which was incredible. But one of my last days, I was there with an organized tour, and then I ended up kind of spending an extra couple days in Tel Aviv. And Israeli men are the most hilarious and uninhibited people that I have ever met. And I had 3 guys come up to me by the way, I am happily in a relationship. I'm just going to put that out there. But I think I have this energy about me, right? And so there was a couple guys who came up to me, and obviously they heard my accent. They knew I wasn't from around there. And one of the guys, when I had said, he asked what my name was, and I said, Kiki, and he goes, "Oh, do you love me?" And I'm like, well, that's rather forward. And then I clued in that it was the song. But yes, I do get that a lot. And just FYI, I was Kiki before the song came out.
Yes. And I remember you saying that, which is why I was laughing hysterically while I was figuring out what question to ask you. And I'm like, yeah, probably not gonna like it, but I'm gonna.
No, I love it. I love it. Honestly, that's the best way to start off this podcast. But yeah, I was really stoked when I heard that Drake's from Toronto. I'm also originally from Toronto. And so when I heard that he wrote a song about me, I was quite pleased.
Well, now that we know you do love me.
Oh, girl, I love you.
we are going to dive in because I first want to touch on why you feel it is so important to implement self-development as a daily practice.
Okay, girl. Where do I even begin? That is actually, this is really funny. I had another podcast interview last week and someone opened up with a very loaded question. And I was literally just going to say, that's quite the loaded question. But really it is. I originally, when I discovered personal development, self-development, whatever you want to call it, there's a bunch of different ways to go about it. And they look so different to each individual person. It's not, self-care, personal development. I think they all kind of roll into one. And I think it is so important because I guess to kind of put it to the bare basics, if you are not, I know we've all heard this term, fill your cup first, but really if you are not coming from a place of fulfillment, like you're not filled up, you can only serve from where you're at. So for your moms, for business women, for anyone who's in a relationship, like any type, if you are trying to live your life around other people, even if you're young, single, living with your parents, if you only have, a very low level of energy to give, you can't give any more than that. So you have to fill yourself up first in order to be able to serve others.
Yes, and I love that you said that because I spoke about this in regards to filling up your cup, but also the fact that it's proven that children don't actually know how to fill their own cup. And so this is just in regards to moms, but kids don't know how. Kids actually require your attention. They require you to like the touch. They require a kiss, words of encouragement. Like that is what fills their cup because they don't know that they could take a relaxing bath and, let go of their thoughts. They haven't learned how to do those things yet. So they actually need you to fill up your cup because they take from you. So
I'm gonna make sure that my boyfriend listens to this podcast because I'm still a words of affirmation girl. And so when he gives to me, that's what I ask for is, his encouragement. And actually he just did some before he left. So that was lovely.
Which is good. And it's so important to know like love languages. Oh, that's a whole other topic.
It's a whole other podcast. But really, it's so important to understand that you need to be fulfilled. You need to be coming from a place. Self-care is not selfish. That's another one of my favorite things to say is because it's really, you have to look out for you because no one else is going to care for you as much as you do. Yeah. You have to be your own number one fan.
100%. I even say that, you have your heart is inside of you. You're the one who's taking care of that beating heart. Nobody else is. Nobody else is accountable for that. You are accountable for that. You are accountable for taking care of you. So I love that, especially, and I like the way that you're talking about it too, is almost like people need to be extremely honest with who they are exactly right now so that they can not necessarily improve, but grow, like have that growth.
Totally.
Because you start in one spot. And if you can't be honest with, where you've come from, what's happened in your life, what you're currently going through, like you're not going to grow. So I think, and we actually just talked about this stuff too.
Oh, yes.
You need to be so extremely honest with yourself to grow. And so I like that you touched on that.
You need to be open and honest with those around you as well, right? You can't, I just spent a weekend in Vancouver going to a women's empowerment event, and there was a common theme of stuffing everything down and how we as women are, societally told that we are less than, and there's more wrong with us, and we don't make as much money as men, and we, it's our job to take care of the house and feed the kids and do all of these things. And I mean, slowly it's growing, but it's not growing as fast as it should. Yeah. And so we swallow a lot of our feelings, our personal opinions, because we're told not to speak up. So communication is extremely important.
100%. And I believe that people need to, this is something that I've embodied, and this isn't something that I've just embodied like recently, but I guess I've embodied it so much more, is by people say that I'm very blunt and that I just am very outspoken. And some people, oh, what was the word? I wish I wrote this word down, because intimidating. Some people said that I was intimidating.
Yep.
And
Sorry for those of you who aren't watching. I literally just threw my hands in the air.
I've asked like even close family members of mine, and I'm like, hey, do you think I'm intimidating? And the first thing they say is, yup.
Girl, preach.
But then when I ask them further, I'm like, can you please explain to me why you think I'm intimidating? They say it is because I am outspoken. I say what I mean what I feel, and people know where I stand. That doesn't mean that I don't like understand where you're coming from, but I'm just very firm in what I believe in, and what my truth is. And so people find that intimidating because not a lot of people are standing in that. And so that made more sense when people said it. But then when people have said that, which, I mean, this is more than one woman or mom who has said this, I was almost in awe that people aren't, speaking up and taking care of themselves, because the words that you speak and how you feel is also so important in regards to self-care, self-development. You need to be extremely honest, and that's with exactly who you are. And so, I just,
I feel your passion. Honestly, when I was in my early 20s, I couldn't hold a relationship. I guess in my late teens, early 20s, I couldn't hold a relationship. My longest relationship until I had met my partner in my early 20s was like 2 months. And I would get bored. I was always the breaker-upper, the whatever you want to call that.
Man.
But the thing is that because I knew what I wanted, but then it was really funny because later on, as you could go to the bars and you could go and, meet guys, it was very much like, all of my friends had boyfriends and I didn't understand why. And everyone used to tell me that it was because I was intimidating. And I'm like, this is uncensored, right?
Yes, it is uncensored.
What the fuck? Like, I never understood that. I was just like, I am who I am. My mom, her favorite thing to say is that I've always marched to the beat of my own drum. And when I was younger, I was told I was bossy. By the way, moms, never tell your children or your daughters that they're bossy. Please tell them they have excellent leadership skills.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, because here I am, I'm someone who cannot work for anyone else. I tried it. I tried the 9-to-5 hustle. When I used to have a manager in bartending, oh my God, did I hate it. I don't respond well to authority because I am the authority. So yeah, the whole intimidation piece, I feel you. I see you. Yeah, that was never fun for me.
No. And I can relate to you so much in regards to, I was always like, my relationships didn't last long. Like, even my jobs didn't last long because I was only temporarily happy with them. And it was never something that lit me up. Like, being able to, be an entrepreneur and run my own schedule and create my life is exactly where I need to be, and I want to be.
Totally. We were just talking about how I had no energy, no creativity the past 2 days, and like, just, I do beat myself up a little bit when I'm not in that mode because everything is so new to me. Like, I haven't built that foundation yet. Like, I'm in that lane stage. So I feel like every day counts, but some days, like, you cannot come from a place of force. You cannot come from a place of, when you're forcing it, it's not inspired. Therefore, it's never going to sell. It's not going to come across properly. So doing something like this is actually a great outlet for me because I feel like it's going to get that stagnant energy just kind of flowing through my body a bit.
I was just, even when I was thinking about creating this podcast, and I talked about this on another episode too, about my masculine energy and how my masculine energy, this is like the best place. And there's another episode on energy.
Yes.
Masculine energy, this is the greatest place for me, for that energy to hang out, because I can like clear that and really show up in my feminine after, which is so nice and such a good feeling. So
Totally. And for me, my masculine energy looked like laying in bed half the day. But that's okay. Even last night when I was laying, I quit the day and then I went to bed, but then I sat in bed and I was like, oh, I'm a little inspired. So, I got a couple pages worth of notes out and all that stuff. So it's interesting. Like as an entrepreneur, I think you need to hit when inspiration strikes. And if it's not there, then so be it.
Well, yep. And when it hits, you need to make sure you've got a pen and a paper and you write it down.
Amen, sister.
Yeah. Okay, so because we are so good at also getting off track here and so many topics.
Sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. I'm squirrely brains, okay? That's what I'm going to call them, squirrely brains. So just getting back into like the self-development, self-care piece, which really does tie into also being that what people may call intimidating or bossy. When you really stand in what you believe in, your boundaries, your values, because some people just aren't used to, that energy. And so what I wanted to ask, because I touched on this at the beginning, is if you agreed with me in regards to, when people might feel overwhelmed by self-development or like self-care and not really know where to start, what would you recommend for people as their first step?
So I used to be someone who did not think I needed personal development. I came across personal development when I started in my very first network marketing company. That's where I started my entrepreneurship. And I was told that personal development was like the main thing that you needed in order to run a successful business. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I know how to talk to people. I can sell, even though, I didn't actually think I could sell, but I was like, I can do it without this. And then I discovered podcasts, which I love that I get to use this as a form now to describe personal growth because it comes full circle for me. But I also started with, I used to hate reading, and you could not pay me to read a book, but there was something about the title, You Are a Badass, that really lured me in. I absolutely love Jen Sincero. She was the very first personal development book I don't want to say ever read, but like consciously picked up and read. So there was another one that I read in high school that was given to me by
I literally just finished that book like 2 days ago.
So good.
Sat down and I finished, and it is so good.
So she was like, when I quit my 9-to-5 back in June, she was the person that I had in my head the entire time. She's talking about jumping and the net will appear and the terror-citement, because you can be terrified and excited at the same time. And just that book can be everything to everyone. I personally feel there's just nuggets in there that relate on such a real, now, like in today's day and age sense. Whereas I think a lot of people get this misconception of personal development and personal growth as self-help. And while it is, you are truly helping yourself. This is not like typical 60s, 70s self-help psychology type stuff. It really is, okay, let me backtrack a bit. It does obviously play into psychology. However, it's just done in such a way that is so much more applicable to today. And so You Are a Badass is where I started. One of the things that I cannot live without anymore is meditation. I don't want to say daily, because there are a couple days where I will miss. But I was also someone, like, I am super chatty. I'm always on the go. I love, like, the idea of clearing my brain for more than 3 minutes at a time used to scare the bejesus out of me, because there was nothing more boring to me than sitting and being silent.
I agree. I couldn't even sit and listen to the voice in my head. Like, I could not sit in silence or do something alone. For years, I couldn't do that.
Totally. And I've always been that way. I've always been a people person. I've always become extroverted or been extroverted. But the funny thing is that over the years, and as I'm getting a little bit older, I have a very quick shut off switch of, I get overwhelmed if I've either been in the company of too many people. Like, I have now slowly become an extroverted introvert, which I find hilarious, because if you were to ask anyone that I know who has known me for even all of like half an hour, they would say there's no way. But it's true. And I find that meditation has kind of correlated with that a bit, because really it's listening to your inner voice, and it's listening to what's in your heart of hearts as to, if something doesn't feel good for me anymore, I am very quick to pick up on it and say, okay, I'm done. And that's really just honoring your feelings. It's honoring your intuition, your gut, and just listening to that. And, you know, it can usually help to save you from certain things. Like, my mother-in-law the other day was talking about how, she goes mushroom picking in the woods across from her house. And I said to her, I'm like, because I am a born and raised city girl. And so I said to her, I'm like, aren't you afraid of the bears? Like, how do you know? Like, you don't know if you're going to run into a bear or not. She goes, honestly, there's just something in my stomach that'll kind of go off and tell me that it's not right today. I'm like, that's your intuition. And this is what so many people fail to see or to pick up on and notice. Yes. So I find that meditation is a really great way to get in tune with your intuition.
I just want to touch on the piece when you were talking about Jen and you are a badass. Mm-hmm. Every single chapter in that book, she ends it with love yourself. Mm-hmm. And so that is the most important. Like, it is over and over and over again that she talks about loving yourself and exactly
about that.
Where you are. And that's, at least that's the piece that always, every time I'd finish a chapter, it'd always say, love yourself. And it would remind me to love myself in this very moment, not in the future, not when. And I wasn't putting conditions on when I was loving myself. And I think that was a big point in her book too. And self-development, self-care really allows you to be real and love yourself exactly who you are. Even, when I decided to take that leap and hire a coach and do all these things, I used to look at myself in the mirror before and literally hate every inch of my body, where I'd pick at things and be like,
girl,
I hate my shoulders, I hate my ass, I hate everything. And now I honestly, I catch myself being like, oh, girl, look at your teeth. Oh, look at how nice they are. Oh, look at those lips. Or I'm like, hey, literally.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Like, I grew up, I don't know any woman who doesn't not like something about themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
I hate using double negatives. But it's true. Like, we are conditioned throughout society, throughout our lives, throughout the media, everything like that, to believe, because there are so many consumer products that can fix what's wrong with you. We are conditioned to believe that we are not enough.
Yep.
And I am here, listen to me loud. You are more than enough, just the way you are right here, right now. You are perfectly imperfect. That is, it's been, even I still catch myself. Don't even think for a second that I don't look at the mirror and say, oh, you're looking kind of chubby today. But it's less and less. When you really put a focus on being cognizant of your thoughts, like, man, I could talk about so many different ways of self-care, but it's true. Like, start with Post-it notes on your mirror, and or I have dry erase markers that I write on my mirror with. I have all of my goals. And then, you know, if I'm feeling, oh yeah, all of my goals for the year go onto my mirror so that I am like, not only do I have a vision board saved on my background for my phone, I also have all of my goals up on a mirror so that subconsciously, even if I'm not paying attention to them, subconsciously they're there. So
yes.
as soon as they get checked off throughout the year, I don't rub them off. I just put a little check mark beside them.
I need to do that.
Yes.
That's
Start
amazing.
doing, honestly, as soon as I started doing that, I found that I was accomplishing a hell of a lot more than of my goals.
And like, I do write down my goals and like I have the pictures to look at and everything, but I love that you write them on the mirrors with a dry erase marker.
Totally. And I write,
totally love that.
yeah. Yeah. And I also write affirmations to myself. That was the whole, to bring it back around. That was, yeah, what I was getting at first is that it's going to sound really weird in the beginning, writing on your mirror or saying out loud, you are beautiful, or I am beautiful. Yeah, don't write you are, write I am. I am beautiful. I am sexy. I am worthy. I am enough. I love my butt. I love my stomach. I love my body. My body is healthy and strong and able. Yes. There are so many things that once you start to see those things every single day and start saying them out loud and start being an advocate for yourself, not only will you actually start to believe it, but your energy is going to be so much more uplifted. Your shoulders will be back. You will stand taller. You will stand prouder. You will have a glow about you, and people will start to take notice. And that will attract more of the right people to you.
Yes.
Your husband will take note. Your coworkers will be like, oh, you, what's up with you? You know, you're looking good these days. It'll just start, once you start to believe it, others will too.
Yeah, it's like a trickle effect.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying trickle effect. It's
ripple effect.
I
like trickle effect.
This is going to be reoccurring in this podcast, which is so funny because I literally was on another interview and I said, oh, it's like a trickle effect.
I like it. It's like new and improved.
And then I say it, I'm like, oh, ripple
that's
effect.
Not right. Whatever. Trickle, ripple, same.
This is why it is, you know, I don't edit this podcast. It is uncensored. It is what it is, because I also swear. I'm real.
I cuss like a sailor, and I am damn proud of it. Seriously. I loved when that meme came out. Who knows if it's true or not, but I really loved when that meme came out that said something about like, and people with higher IQs stay up later. They swear and some other things. They probably drink too. Check.
Also, okay. So since we keep doing this whole, you know, circling back around thing,
it's fun.
When you were talking about the perfectly imperfect, you literally brought me back to like high school, where I was the kid who, you know, would print out quotes and put them on my cork board and do all these different things. And that was one that I would always have with me, about being perfectly imperfect, exactly how you are. And so I had to touch on that because I literally just like flashed back to high school.
But what the fuck is perfect? And do you really want to be it? That's boring.
No.
That's boring. That's stale. It
can't exist, because
perfect can't exist.
No, because every single human being is made up of different cells, they're completely unique. Nobody else is exactly like you. Even if you're a twin.
I was just going to say that.
Of their fucking body is still made up differently than yours. And so, yes, you might have some sort of DNA, whatever, but you're still different, and you're still two different people. And so,
and you have two different souls.
Yes. Oh, I literally, when people talk about, oh, I need to be perfection. What the
fuck that noise?
Yeah. Because
I gave up on that a long time ago.
right? And I would rather be exactly who I am. I think people get so caught up in pleasing other people, they become people pleasers, that it starts changing who they are. And that's where I really truly believe that self-development, self-care really plays in and really wakes you the fuck up and really allows you to take some, responsibility for where you are in your life at the
Oh,
moment. Not
yes.
taking care of yourself is the biggest thing. Nobody else can take responsibility for your stuff.
I'm
Nobody
so
else.
glad that you said that, because a huge part of, now I am very spiritual. So for me, I believe a lot in the law of attraction and manifestation, and no one else is going to create your life or your dream for you. The premise is that your thoughts create your feelings, which create your actions, which create your results. So if there is a dream in you, it is for you. And it is your responsibility to go after that, because no one is ever going to, like I said at the beginning, no one's going to care about you as much as you have to care about you. No one is going to hold your dream at a higher priority than
theirs.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
So taking responsibility for your life and your actions is something that I had to learn the very hard way.
Yes.
And many hammers over the head by the universe.
Oy.
But yeah, I eventually woke up.
Yeah.
And, I had an aha moment on Friday when I got to drive to Vancouver and I got to go to this event, and I didn't have to ask my boss if it was okay to go. I didn't have to use a vacation day or a sick day or call and make sure that I could switch a shift with someone. It was just like, I went, and I'm going back to Vancouver again this weekend, which I'm super excited about. But it's just, I created this. I made it possible. I mean, I had support and encouragement and love along the way, but I am the one who put all of these kind of action steps in place to get to where I am today. And I could not be more proud of myself. And that's
you should be proud of
what,
yourself.
Thank you. And that's what self-care will do. It'll make you love a whole lot on yourself.
Yes. And it's important to,
it is
that's
important.
another thing too, in regards to self-development and self-care. You need to celebrate. You need to really anchor in moments in your life and celebration in regards to the things that you've done. I remember talking to, we share the same coach. And so she every time I go on a call with her, she's like, "Hey girl, what are we celebrating?" I'm like, oh shit. Like every time I'm like, I know this question is coming. How have I not been prepared for this?
And the thing, sorry, go ahead.
And so she always reminds me that I need to celebrate everything that I'm doing. She even reminded me that she asked me, well, what was your dream life? And I dreamed of having this beautiful home and this husband and children and being a mom and, being pregnant and being surrounded by women in business and being an entrepreneur. I have made that shit my reality. Like, this is my life. And I'm even having goosebumps talking about this. I did not celebrate those massive milestones that were in my life. And she's like, okay, we have to just celebrate this stuff right now.
Let's backtrack a bit.
Yes. And so now when people are like going through their life and they're just trying to get to the next best thing, I'm like, stop. Realize like what have you always wanted? And have you actually checked that off your fucking list? Because if you have, you need to stop and you need to celebrate it and you need to realize that you did that. And that's been huge for me, because now I celebrate everything. Like, even if my kids aren't sick, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And celebration is just another way of saying gratitude. And in the spiritual world, in manifestation, gratitude is such an important piece of the puzzle when it comes to getting what you desire. Because if you're not grateful for all you currently have, you are putting up a huge roadblock to being able to get to that next level. So when you celebrate, when you are grateful for everything that you have, by the way, there is a difference between celebration and bragging. I just want to put that out there. There is such a great intention behind celebration, because it welcomes more, like attracts like. So when you celebrate and you get grateful for everything that the universe has blessed you with, God, source, whatever you want to call it, you are welcoming, you are signaling to the universe that you are ready for more of that.
Yep.
So.
Yes. Also, did you, like, this is, I believe in the universe. I'm also very spiritual myself, and that's a whole other talk in itself too.
I might have to come back.
I literally was just thinking that. Honestly, I swear you are in my mind right now. Like, this is just messing me up a little bit here because, like, literally all of my notes, I have perfectly imperfect. I have Jensen Sarah. I literally have the law of attraction. I have meditation. I'm like, I haven't even asked her this shit, and she's already saying it. I'm like, what? This is what we're talking about, guys. When you literally, you know, I believe manifestation because now, you know, you've basically taken all my notes and told me everything. We're just gonna go with it. But you were talking about like manifestation too, and I really want to touch on that because today has been, because I want to touch on your computer story too.
Sorry if I just blew up your earbud, by the way, with that cackle.
Today I was like, why am I not using, because I had just got like a new computer, like I just got a MacBook, and so I was like, which I manifested that into my life too, by the way. And so then I'm like, oh, my other computer, it's like dying, it's not working, it's gonna freeze. Like, what if I'm on this thing with Kiki and it doesn't work? And really, you wanna know what? This computer didn't work for 2 hours. I was like, cool, I guess I'm using my other computer. Like,
oh, girl.
But I was like, Kate, I need to be really aware of the things that I'm saying. And so that's why I want to touch on your computer story, because, boy, I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Why is this happening today?
So I have been in a very weird space of manifestation recently, to the point that I have blown my own mind. I have, in the past, let's go back like to the end of summer, I was talking with our business coach, and I said to her, you know, I really want to start collaborating with people. And I think it would be good. It would be mutually beneficial, because not only can I start incorporating people into my space, but I can also reach out and get exposure in other spaces. And within a couple days of me saying that, I had another one of our coach's clients reach out to me and say she wanted to jive and just kind of figure out what we could do for each other. And then you reached out, and then someone else reached out. Oh, I had someone who I worked with in my old network marketing company reached out to me. And so it was just like this floodgate had opened. And then I had a dream that our coach featured me on her podcast. And I said to her, by the way, I had this dream last night. I am putting it out there to the universe. I said, I know your podcast is so new and that you're probably not bringing clients on, but I am just putting this out here. I am staking my claim. And she wrote back, she was like, yes, blah, blah, blah. I am so excited. And within within a week, someone reached out to me on Instagram asking if they would be able to interview me for a podcast. Since then, I have had 4 people in total reach out to me to want to interview me for a podcast, which I am so grateful for. Thank you, universe, more please. And then then I got this ticket for the event that I went to last weekend. And I was originally going to go, I say that I manifested this. I wasn't consciously manifesting it, but I think I was subconsciously manifesting it. Yep. I wanted to go the weekend of Thanksgiving, and it was actually Josh's home opener for his hockey team. So it was in Calgary. It's actually closer to drive to than Vancouver, but I wouldn't have been able to go because, you know, the way that weekend worked out. And then the day before the event, 2 days before the event, I posted in that group, not saying anything. I just posted about my story and And the following day was going to be my 3-year cancer-free anniversary, I should say. And so the organizer of this event wrote on my post and said she wanted to give me a ticket to the event, and could I get myself to Vancouver that weekend. Then the computer came. So the other day I was in a very creative space, and I was looking at my current vision board, and there's like 3 months left at this time. There's, well, I guess now almost 2 months left of the year. And I was like, whatever. I'm going to create a new vision board. So I'm on Pinterest and I'm, pinning away. And as I get into my head of, I would really like to manifest a brand new computer, do I not 2 minutes later, like my coffee cup is in front of my laptop and kind of gets on its edge a bit. And I have this massive like knee-jerk reaction of, oh, fuck. And I tried to catch it. And when I tried to catch it, I just knocked it over. And it violently went everywhere, like across the kitchen table, over onto the other side of the kitchen, all over the floor, the dishwasher, somehow behind me. Like this coffee went everywhere. Of course, it was a full cup too. So like Kara was saying before, be careful what you wish for. Be conscious that manifestation can work way faster than you expect it to sometimes. By the way, my computer never fixed itself. I got like coffee with sugar all in the keyholes and all that. Like it started exercise or not. I was going to say it needed an exorcist because it just started rebooting itself every like 10 seconds.
Yep.
So that's when I knew it was kaput. So I was just like, okay, thanks universe.
Yeah.
You've got a really sick sense of humor, but it's like I needed a new computer. I was actually very much resisting getting a new computer. It was about 5 years old. It had no space left on it. So I'm just hoping that I can recover my files from it.
Yes.
That's my only thing. But yeah, so the universe works in quite mysterious ways, and you have to be cognizant, like I said before, of your thoughts and your language. So manifesting itself is like attracts like, and the energy you put out is what you bring back to you.
Yes.
So if you are coming from a space of, like, I'll give you like a quick 101 of what not to do if you were trying to manifest money. Quit saying you're broke and that you're in debt, and stop focusing on lack and start focusing on prosperity. Yes. And it's going to feel really awkward because you don't actually have it yet, but you have to trust and believe in your gut so much that it is on its way to you, that you have no ifs, ands, buts, or maybes in your mind. It is a declaration. You stake your claim and you know that it's on its way. And then when you get these ideas in your head, that's why we said to act on them, because those aren't just happening for any old reason. It's for a purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like that you touched on when you were talking about money, in regards to, you have to be so crystal clear in exactly where you are right now. And if you wonder why situations keep reoccurring and reoccurring and reoccurring in your life, that is what we call universe, source, whatever you like to believe in. That is what is coming back up in your life, because you need to deal with it, and you need to be like very clear on it. And so with money, so many people are so scared to look at things. See, all these topics. Oh dear. But it in all aspects of your life, if you want to manifest these amazing things, you also have to be very clear with where you are right now. And I've recently seen how, like, my subconscious mind manifesting all these different things into my life, or the things that have happened in my life where I've been curious about where it came from. No, I manifested that shit and I didn't even realize. And so some people don't fully believe in this, but this podcast is all geared towards openness and conversation and having and being able to talk about all these different things.
Good.
And I think it needs to be talked about, because just because somebody might believe in something different doesn't mean that you can't also, coincide with other different things. I think it's important that people understand, like we were talking about people being unique and being individuals, and you need to own that. And so both of us are spiritual in probably very different ways, but also some similar ways, and that's okay. And so when we talk about manifestation, really, that shit works, guys.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to say that you also, like, you can't see gravity, but that does not mean that it's not there. So regardless of whether you believe in it or not, the law of attraction is always working. You are constantly manifesting every second of every day. And some people will be like, oh, well, if I think a negative thought, it has been, like, you look into quantum physics, it has been scientifically proven that the energy and the power behind a good thought is 100 times more powerful than the energy behind a negative thought. So you are constantly manifesting. Do you ever notice, like, I'll give you a great example. Do you ever notice how if you wake up in the morning and something goes wrong and you say, oh, well, there goes my day, I'm just going to have a shitty fucking day for the rest of the day. Do you ever notice how that actually happens?
Yeah.
Whereas if you say, oh, okay, you're cognizant of the way you're thinking, you're cognizant of the way that your thought process is starting to go, and you nip it in the bud right there, your day will immediately turn around. Because you are not letting that negative energy affect you. It's like you're in this bubble and you don't let anything permeate it.
And I'm going to touch on that because literally this just happened to me on the day that we had our 2-hour conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like this story.
Because my dog decided to spray poop all over my basement. Okay. And of course, I'm like showing someone my house, and I go downstairs. I'm like, oh, sorry, don't mind all this poop everywhere. And so this pissed me off. And I remember I called my husband and I had my little hissy fit. And I'm like, you know what? I was almost going to roll this carpet up and just toss it outside because that's how much I was angry.
I wouldn't have wanted to clean that up either.
No. But then I took a moment. I had my moment. I let myself feel it. And then I'm like, okay, this does not, dictate the rest of my day. This
Correct.
does not put the energy. I do not want to put this energy into the rest of my day. And so instead I went downstairs, I pumped some tunes, and I danced while I was picking up dog shit. And that completely changed how I felt about it. My carpet is clean. I was able to get stains out. And so it ended up being really good. It just took a different part of my day. And so I could have literally let that wreck my whole day, and then I probably wouldn't have got the stains out and all these other things would have happened.
Yep. And that's the thing. Yeah. And you always have the power to choose again. Yeah. That is like the beauty of being human and being able to get a grip on your thought patterns. Yeah. And guys, like, same thing. When my coffee spilled all over my computer, I kind of was in disbelief, started to tear up a little, and then started pissing myself laughing because I could not believe what happened. I mean, it was sad. Obviously, Macs are supposed to last a really long time, and mine, it's not like it was dying or anything. It was just out of space. I could have gone to get it cleared and whatnot, but I could not believe how quickly that manifested. And so I couldn't help but laugh, and when you find a way to flip that script and to turn things around, my God, I'm still laughing about it, and it's not what a great way to be able to take your power back and to
Yes.
fill yourself up and kind of like lift yourself up without anyone else's help.
Yeah. Well,
You know?
oh man. And even in the fact of being responsible for your choices and how you do have the ability to choose again, that's a huge thing in regards to self-development and self-care. You have the ability to say yes and no. You have the ability to
Correct.
choose again. You can choose how this, you could literally play over and over again how all these outcomes are going to happen, but you need to make a choice. And in regards to moms on this podcast too, I talk about this with my kids so much, about how it's their choice and their behavior. How they react is a choice. That is not my choice. I did not force them to make that choice. I did not force them to lie. I did not force them to hit each other or do any of those things. That was a choice. We put that onus back on them because they need to understand that everything in life is not somebody else's fault. You are in charge of yourself. You're responsible for yourself, you're accountable for yourself and for your actions. And we're teaching them that you need to be responsible and that you need to take care of yourself and be aware of the words that are spoken, the words that you say to yourself, to other people. And so, oh, as a parent, as a human being, it is so important to be aware of the words that you are putting out there and the choices that you're making.
But that's a really good thing too, to learn very early in life, is
Yeah.
that you're the one. And you were asking me earlier, I just kind of thought about this. You were asking me earlier about, what were you asking me earlier about? You were asking if someone didn't know where to start with self-care. There is a lot of power in the word no. And if you need to start somewhere, start saying no to the shit that doesn't serve you. Start saying no to the 3 extracurricular things you're taking on for your kids' schooling, or, you're always the one who's carpooling 5 kids to dance or soccer or whatever. Start delegating more things in your life. That is one of the easiest ways. And okay, I say easy, but it's a simple step that you can take, but it also sets up those boundaries in your life and protects your energy and is able to eventually fill your cup because you're creating more time for yourself.
I literally just did this weekend. My stepson, we're celebrating his 11th birthday, and he's having friends come over, and then friends had invited me to literally an event Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I was like, holy tits, what is happening? And why the hell are we doing something like 5 fucking days in a row? Not that I don't love my friends by any means, but it was too much. And even the things that I wanted to do, spilling over my words here, myself and my husband looked at each other the other week and we said, we need to slow down. We are doing so much between our kids being in sports, between the extras things that we want to do together, the date nights we want to go on, taking care of a baby, wanting to grow a family, and doing all these things. At some point, some things have to give. And I said to him that I don't want to go this weekend. I would love to see these people, but I don't. And when I said yes to going them at first, I was not saying yes because of me. I was saying yes because I felt obligated and I felt like I had to show up. And
but sometimes we do say yes, wanting to do something for ourselves, and then things change. And that's okay too.
And
you are allowed to say no at any point.
Yeah. And then but then the amazing thing is when I said no, it opened up space for all these things that I did want. And so I was able to, plug in a few more of these like incredible interviews that are coming. So excited. And so I was able to pre-plan all these different things, but there's a difference when you step into entrepreneurship, which we are talking about too, and your growth and where you want to go and the success that you want. You prioritize those things and your priorities start to change. And I'm really noticing that in my life, where I want to be interviewing women on this podcast instead of going out and having a drink. I want to be, having random conversations, drinking coffee over Zoom with my girlfriends
Yeah.
that are my virtual girlfriends, because we uplift each other. We're there for each other. These are my priorities have changed. They've done like a complete 360.
180.
Oh,
I always get that one
360 takes me
confused
back.
too.
Oh, see, oh, this is so good. But this is my new normal. And Autumn talks about that too. Like,
Love that.
welcome to your new normal. And
Yes.
this is my new normal. And saying no for this weekend was so incredible. Like, even now, I can just feel how amazing it's going to be to lay in bed on Sunday morning
Right?
and just like do nothing and go to bed early. Like, we have turned into an old lady couple where we're in bed. Usually I'm in bed by now, actually. So,
That's all right.
because
That is more than all right.
I like my sleep and I am so much more productive, but this is totally getting off topic again.
That's
But
okay. I love it. Honestly, I could totally do an entire interview on the changing of priorities and how
oh,
life
girl,
looked
you're
very
gonna have to
different.
come back on because
Okay, fine. You've twisted my arm.
because literally we've talked about, I still can't believe that, how you literally, I swear you took my notebook and read it. Like, I'm still just in awe about that. I'm like, okay, does
I'm
this
not.
woman have superpowers? Because I'm pretty sure she does.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like answer all of your questions before you asked them.
It was funny
That
though.
really defeats the point of an interview.
Yeah, but that's so good though, because you kept me on my toes though this entire
Yeah.
interview, because even though you answered the questions, I still had other questions to ask you, but I was just like, what? And for the people who end up catching this video, because this is also being saved as a video, I can't wait for people to see our reactions in this, because let me tell you.
Girl, I think this is really smart what you're doing. I haven't seen a ton of people doing this. Maybe I'm just like not overly aware of it, but I really like that you're repurposing this.
Well, because
very smart.
I personally, I love videos. That's why, I know some people with their podcasts, they just interview via like over like an app, and that's cool. But I love seeing somebody, their facial expressions. I love trying.
Totally.
It's like a different way of being in somebody's energy, even though you're not like right next to each other. And so, and then it's repurpose, guys. And when you are an entrepreneur, if you have the ability to repurpose things, which is a whole other episode.
I feel like we've said that like 5 times.
Because we have. Because if we talked about every single one of those topics, girl, we'd be talking till like tomorrow morning.
Yeah, this is so true. So true. My goodness.
Well, before we end our amazing conversation, because I don't want to end this conversation.
I know, me either. I'll come back.
Yes. Guys, Kiki will be back. What if there was something like a message you could tell women on this podcast in regards to, caring for themselves and why this is so important? And I know we've touched on so many pieces, but if there's one thing that you could leave them with, what would that be?
This took me a very long time to figure out. And so if it can serve as a fast track for other women, that would make my heart so happy. And it is to stop caring about what other people fucking think of you. That is one of the biggest self-care pieces that I could ever leave you with, is the second that you stop letting other people hold that power over you is when you will start feeling quite fulfilled.
And to end that one too, because I love that, is other people's opinions of you is none of your fucking business.
None of your business.
Nope.
Absolutely.
Oh, just
I might have to do a live video about that.
Yes. We are so in tune. It is amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay, I want to thank you for being on this podcast because this has been such a fun episode. This has been such a great
Yay!
topic. We have blown this topic out of the water because we've talked about so many juicy topics, and obviously
Yes,
you're
girl.
coming back to talk about more because this conversation can't, well, has to end at some point, but I don't want it to.
Yeah.
But I am completely grateful that you were able to share the space with me, that you came on here. You guys, this is Kiki Europe. And for our listeners on here, can you please tell them where they can find you so that after this, if they want to check you out, where can they find you?
They can find me. I am on Instagram. That is my favorite place to hang out. And I am at Nama Slay Babe, which is NAMA Slay Babe, all one word.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening to this podcast, and I will see you in the next episode.